Now, sorry for going long in this video. I want to show you a lot of indicators, let you make up your own mind. We're going sideways. If Bitcoin got a lower high, we could rally up and get another lower high for wave 2 and still get a 5-leg push down. I'll talk about that, about the 535 pattern. Warned that that could be it here. Mixed signals right here. Thursday, saw some signals turn back to bearish. Here, still bearish. Other signals still hanging in there. Possible we're bouncing, we get a lower high and then go down. We're in the pullback, the bigger pullback I've been warning about right here, right now. Talk about the situation in the Middle East just briefly. Show you some important charts, let you make up your own mind. We still have a 9 count in play for next week with Bitcoin in the weekly time frame. I'll show you that chart. Here we're going sideways. Over here we went sideways. Eventually we got a trending move down. Down, back up, signals are good, but here we're going sideways. Now, maybe we're starting the trending move down right now. If bars can't flip here, I've got mixed signals, so I'll show you those signals. Still hanging in there on the long side with my short-term swing trade. Might sell into the rally. We rally back up. I'm considering it. So the charts, you see what you think. We go make a new high. Get the bigger pullback first. So we have Israel striking Iran, and I just want to say this. I talked about my last couple of updates that I thought a strike would take place, but not now. I thought it would be in August or September. I thought possibly Israel was bluffing to get Iran back to the negotiating table, favor to Trump. The deadline ran out 2 months and give them and went forward. Well, I was right about a strike on Iran. I was completely wrong about it being delayed. We know why, because apparently Iran closer to getting a nuclear weapon than we had realized. Apparently they were just weeks away from getting a nuclear weapon. So Israel had no choice but to act immediately. So again, I always tell you exactly what I think. I've been right about the tariffs. I was right about the Bitcoin bottom rally, right about a strike on Iran that was going to happen, but I was totally wrong about it happening later in the summer or early fall. Not always going to be right, but I'm always going to have the guts to tell you exactly what I think. Yeah, I could be wrong about this. I told you I think it would be delayed, and I got that wrong. Again, this is probably going to last a couple of weeks. And you got those people out there saying this is now going to be a regional war. No, it's not. It's going to be World War III. No, it's not. Israel's going to carry out this military campaign. You're going to see Iran retaliate. They've already retaliated with some drones. But Israel is knocking out the nuclear sites, the leadership, and the scientists in the nuclear program. So again, going to end up crippling Iran even further. They're already in a weakened state, as I've said. All this talk, oh, this is going to be a big regional war. Nobody's going to join with Iran. The Middle East countries are quietly celebrating that this is happening, except for maybe 1 or 2. It's not going to be a regional war. This is going to go on for a couple weeks, and then it's going to come to a conclusion. Now, if Iran continues to try to retaliate, then in a couple weeks, they might be back in the Stone Age by the time this is over. You know that Israel can easily penetrate and has already penetrated and taken out Iran's air defense system. That's why I say they're very, very weak. We know that Iran's strikes on Israel, that the Israeli defense systems are able to block most of those attacks with their sophisticated air defense systems. So again, Iran is much weaker than everybody is trying to tell us. Israel back in October took out their air defense systems. Iran didn't even respond. That's how weak they are. They start firing a bunch of ballistic missiles, could overwhelm Israel's air defense systems. There are risks to all of this, but I'm just telling you, this is not going to, we're being told on the internet, oh, this is, going to be a regional war, World War III, it's going to last, it's going to go on and on. It's probably going to go on a couple weeks, and then it's going to come to a conclusion. Israel will have victory. One of the reasons why I thought that the United States would be involved was because they have the bunker bombs. Israel didn't have those. Apparently, the United States supplied them. to Israel, and that's why Israel's going it alone. That's one reason why I thought the United States would go along with them. Still may get involved if Iran is foolish enough to strike U.S. military bases. If they did that, the United States would unleash hell on them. They would definitely be back in the Stone Age if they were foolish enough to do that. See what happens. We'll see if the United States ends up getting involved. It would be because Iran made a stupid calculation to mess with the United States. They got away with that with striking their proxies, striking military targets under the Biden administration. They're not going to get away with it under the Trump administration. Ain't going to happen. But we'll see if they're foolish enough to do that. It's going to eventually end. Rattle markets right now a little bit, and it'll probably rattle markets a little bit more. It's about escalation and all this other stuff, this regional war stuff, but a regional war is not going to happen. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, but I did want to tell you that I was completely wrong about this being delayed. I was right about it, the Iran strike, but I was completely wrong about it being delayed. And I'm not always going to be right. I tell you, I do what very few people will do. I tell you exactly what I think. I'm right on a lot of things, but I was not right about that. And with several hours before the close here with Bitcoin, we sold off. We hit the 50-period moving average again. Last time we hit it, we bounced off of it. And if we get a bottoming tail, again, you could still come up here and get another lower high. And, we could be starting a 5-leg push down if we have a lower high now in a 5-3-5 pattern. I'll show you that on the hour chart in just a minute. The correction could have already started from May 22nd's high. Wave 1, this could be a wave 2 under construction right now. The moment I'm making this video, Bitcoin right now at the moment down about 0.5%, trying to get a bottoming tail at the 50 period. We had some signals turn bearish on Thursday with this push down. Bitcoin was down on Thursday 2.71%. The sell-off continued with the strike Iran, but then now we're rebounding to the 50. We are going sideways. We're getting the bigger correction right now. We're going to be headed eventually back to the 200 and the 100 period. If we rally back up and get a lower high, listen carefully. If we get a lower high, can't make a higher high again, then we have a lower high here, get another lower high for the wave 2. Then you can get the 3, the 4, and the 5 and head down here, getting your 5-3-5 pattern here potentially. Zigzag corrective move with the Elliott wave is still on the table. It's possible that we completed wave 1 over here. I've been showing you both of those counts. I still thought we would go higher. I told you I could be completely wrong about that if we cannot make a new high. So far, we have not been able to. Going sideways, as you can clearly see, we're in this trading range, and that still may give us that bigger sell-off. But we're trying to bounce off the 50, a mixed bag of signals again, just like we had over here when we were going sideways, when we were pulling back. Again, a mixed bag of signals. We don't have a reversal of conditions yet with IBIT, the Bitcoin ETF, or the Bitcoin futures. And on my indicators, are we validating a lower high? We're going to get a lower low and get the bigger pullback right here now, or do we still end up trying to get that divergence? And again, now sell-off, we could have now established a lower high. And we got that doji. On Tuesday, we had the rally, the doji, and remember we had the 13 count up at that high. Does that now play out immediately? We still have the 8 of a 9 count in the weekly time frame on Bitcoin. Again, I've talked about the two scenarios, either a lower high that the correction's already started. I told you I thought that was less likely. I thought it was more likely we'd go up and we'd form a divergence, but with this sell-off on Thursday and then Friday, the risk now is that we confirm a lower high. Again, I thought we'd have a divergence develop here. We did have on indicators a divergence develop at this peak for May 22nd that gave us this pullback. But again, is this not done? Do we still get the divergence? Or again, if we rally back up, we get a lower high. You could be starting this 5-leg push down towards the 200, towards the 100 period moving average, which could be a zigzag correction, a 5-3-5 correction pattern, which would end up taking indicators in the negative region. Right now, they're still positive. We've got red, but they're still positive. So do we still try to form a divergence or not? A correction already started. This is the Bitcoin daily chart here. Here, again, we're coming to the cloud right here, and we're finding support at it with that 50 period moving average. So again, see more signals turn bearish if we're going to get a bigger pullback to the 100 or the 200 period moving average, which again, I do think is eventually going to happen sooner rather than later if we did peak on May 22nd. And I told you that we could still reach that 114,000 area, and again, even overthrow it 114 to 116,000. Again, that might be in play still, but now you have a lower high. So can't move above this high right here, the resistance zone. Then we end up rallying back up and getting a lower high. Then the risk is we again start moving back towards the cloud, start moving back towards the 50, the 200, or the 100 and the 200 period moving average. Told you I thought a divergence would develop. I can be completely wrong about that. Also talked about the lower high scenario. That's still in play, as I've said. We're watching to see if we get the divergence here on the RSI, on the awesome oscillator. Other indicators. Well, so far, we don't have it. We could be validating a lower high if we start taking out the 50 and we start moving back deeper into the cloud. We're just above the cloud right here, just at that 50 period bouncing. I talked about the same thing happening for the MACD. Does the MACD end up forming a larger divergence? Certainly still possible, but signals all start turning bearish, and right now I've got a mixed bag of signals. Some have turned bearish Thursday and more on Friday. Others are still hanging in there. Do we end up forming that divergence? And I think it's still a question mark. Or are we confirming a lower high? You could easily, we're still in positive territory at the MACD, you could easily still turn back up, end up getting that 9 count in the weekly time frame and still trying to move higher. Previously, the trend line over here was pointing possibly to the next high. I also excluded the shadow here. That's the trend line we turned off on May 22nd. This scenario, that's not playing out. We're turning back down, and I've talked about both of those scenarios. So that's where we're at. We're going sideways right now. Risk now is that we now have a lower high, and the risk is that we're going to get a lower low and get that bigger pullback. Again, I do believe we're forming the right shoulder right now, or about to, and you have the left shoulder here, and potentially the head formation here, and maybe the right shoulder is now under construction here, or we go up and then turn down. Wave 4 completed right here, then this would be wave 5. And to eventually complete wave 1, if wave 1 completed over here, then again, this is the ABC correction. Elliott wave is speculation. I've been talking about both of those counts. Actually, even if we pull back now rather than later, eventually I think we do set up a higher low. I remain long-term bullish on Bitcoin, but I've told you I thought we'd get a pullback. I talked about these two scenarios, but I have the guts to tell you what I think. I've told you I thought we would hit the trend line. I could be completely wrong about that, but I always tell you what I think. Right about the bottom, right about the rally, right about these trend lines being tested, but again, I may be wrong about the upper one being reached. I've talked about two scenarios. I've shown you these charts. Scenario says we've already peaked, that we have a 5-leg push higher that's already done with a 1, a 2, this whole thing being 3, the triangle for 4, and then we get the 5. That scenario says we peaked on May 22nd. We got a 5-leg push down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for A. We're getting an A, B, C for B. And now we're going to get another 5-leg push down, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that very well may be the case now because Bitcoin has now put in a lower high and gotten a pretty significant sell-off. We had the 50 cross back below the 200, it got back above it, still above it, and we're at the cloud right here. If we can bounce, you got the resistance zone. You've got the peak over here, and now you've got this lower high. So that's the resistance zone. So if we get above that, that would be a sign of strength. If we come back up here, we get a lower high below this peak at the resistance zone, that's bearish. And then you come back down. If we are now getting a rebounding, getting a wave 2, then it'd be followed by a wave 3, 4, and 5, and you come down in here probably towards this level. Maybe we don't reach the double bottom confirmation and we only go to fill the gap Got the futures gap there in the low 90,000 range. Maybe we want to go to 91, 92,000, 93,000, something like that. So again, this is the zigzag scenario where you get a 5, 3, 5 pattern. And again, this would suggest that we are in the wave 2, and the lower high very well could be suggesting that right here and right now. Correction is already underway. The bullish diversions give us a rebound. I told you that might be wave 4, or it might be this wave A of the wave 2. We saw the MACD go positive, but rather than getting a divergence, we only got a lower high. So could we be confirming a lower high with the MACD going back into the negative region? If we turn back up and get a counter trend rally that gets another lower high, then that would not be positive, and it would likely allow momentum to turn negative eventually. A lot of signals are mixed though right now, and that they're mixed because we're going sideways. We rallied up, and then we sold off, and then we rallied up again, and now we're selling off, and we're just going sideways, and that's why signals are mixed. Signals are designed to spot trends, and when you go sideways, then they start going back and forth, and so you get a mixed bag of signals. Some are bullish, some are bearish. Giving you information, you're going sideways, but we're not trending, so that's why we have mixed signals. Push lower and get a lower high, lower low, you're going to see a lot of signals quickly turn back to bearish. Here's the bullish case, and this is now becoming less likely because of our lower high that's set up and Thursday's sell-off. We're rebounding here on Friday off of the lows, but the other scenario now has a good shot of playing out if we can't make new highs, if we can't get above this peak right here, this high right here, and the resistance zone. Now here I've marked, again, wave 4 being done over here. We have 1, 2, this whole thing being 3, with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 being 3, this being 4, with an A, B, and then a C. Now we're in 5, and that would be 1, 2, then we get 3, 4, and 5. So that's the bullish scenario. Now, again, we've got that bar in the weekly time frame. If we can close the week out with getting it without it being canceled out, this count still has a shot at playing out. This is a short-term bullish count saying wave 1 is not done yet. Then we're going to get wave 2, but this count takes us up to the 114 to 116,000 area. We'll see what happens. Is this a wave 2, or is this, A, B, and now we're in the C wave, and it's unfolding into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So which is it? Again, Elliott wave is totally speculation. I don't know the future. Trade Elliott wave. I trade my indicators. Use Elliott wave to try to determine price direction. I expected this wave 4 to be completing here, and this to be wave 1. Whether wave 1 is done or not, I don't know. That's what I use Elliott wave for, is to try to speculate on price direction. We do have, again, spring parameter rolling over, but it's still in positive territory. We still could see that divergence. We end up getting a bigger sell-off, and we should end up going negative. So we'll be watching that. We did get the diversions back at the May peak. Do we get another divergence? Things like spring parameter and other indicators here, or is that a lower high? And that's a question mark right now. Again, I'm just a trader that looks at support and resistance, looks at mathematically based indicators. Just telling you right now, we're going sideways, and that's why signals are mixed. Now, here's Bitcoin's weekly chart. Right now, we're getting the 8 bar, the 8 of the 9 canceled out because we're below the bar from 4 weeks ago. This bar right here is 4 weeks ago. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see this? We're below it. If we close back above it, the 8 bar comes back. We got up to bar 7. Now we're getting a 1 of a 9 to the downside. Okay, the week is not over. You get 1 bar per week. And again, we've got a couple more days. The close is on Sunday. If we can rally back up in the weekly time frame above bar 8, that is at 106,000, 480 or so, approximately. If this count can continue, then you can get the 9 bar. The 8 or the 9 bar has to be the high of the count for it to be a perfected signal. If we can still rally, you still got a shot at going to the trend line from the previous highs that I've talked about. Over here from the December and January peaks. I told you these peaks, these highs, might be pointing to the next high, possibly. We're falling short of that. We're getting a lower high. Signals are mixed, and you can clearly see here on the weekly chart, we're going sideways. We bottomed out, we were going up, now we're going sideways. Here we sold off, but then went back up and went sideways, moving to a higher high before we got the bigger sell-off. Does that happen again? I don't know. Eventually, I think Bitcoin will go much higher. I think it'll go to the 150,000 area, 175,000 area, maybe even higher over time. But the question is, do we have a short-term peak in right now that gives us a bigger pullback? And I think the jury is still out on that. I simply don't know, because we are going sideways. We are not clear trending signal. We're at risk of having the bigger pullback right now. Now, if we pull back to the 200 period, you'll end up pulling back towards the 50 period here. Now, tagging it, our confirmation line, it's still under our confirmation line, but you'll end up pulling back towards it as it rises if we get it right here, right now. Bigger correction. Now, here's Bitcoin. This is the Coinbase exchange right here. And again, we're bouncing off the 50 period moving average. We got that 13 count. Does that 13 count end up giving us a reversal? I told you we got the 13 count. Some bars, this bar, some bar, the wide range bars got it, depending on the exchange. I talked about that. Over here, the 13 count, it gave us a reversal, a bigger sell-off, and then we went and we got a higher high, and we ended up getting a double top pattern, and we got the 9 count the day after the peak. Over here, we had the 13 count, went a little bit lower. I told you we could see something like that happen. Maybe it's done, but we only set up a lower high. Certainly possible. You got a possible bottoming tail trying to form, but we won't know till the session ends. We know the 13 count is telling us price was getting tired, and maybe we established the lower high. If we get a lower high, another lower high with Bitcoin, then you've got the possible wave 2, 3, and 4, 5 that will eventually take us to lower levels, likely down to the low 90,000 range, 90,000, 91, 92, 93, something like that. If we backtest the breakout of the double bottom, then you're looking at 88,500. So far, this count's playing out, but we still may try to go to that level if we can clear, to the trend line level, if we can clear that high right there. But this 5-3-5 pattern is very much in play now with Bitcoin establishing a lower high. I do want to point out, as we're pulling back to the 50 period moving average, we're back testing the breakout of the bull flag. We had the bull flag here to the 50 period, had the rally, got the lower high, and now we're back testing that level. So in order to resume the advance, you got to be able to clear that resistance zone. Remember, we stalled at the 61.8 Fibonacci. That's this line right here, the 61.8 Fibonacci. We stalled at that level, the Fibonacci extension from the previous advance. I told you if we can clear that level, you've got this area in here up to the 78.6 Fibonacci, up into 121,000. Bullish case could still take us to this trend line, or beyond that to the 78.6 Fibonacci. That's the bullish case if we can get a higher low off the 50 and break through the resistance zone to try to make a new high. So again, the levels I'm watching, this trend line, if we can clear that this level, if we get a lower high, if we rally back up, that's going to be a bearish event. If we get a lower high, not being able to clear the resistance zone, then the door's open to, again, going to the 50 and the 100 period moving average. And again, I could be completely wrong about going and making a higher high. We're going sideways right now. Possible the wave 1 is done. It's possible we're already forming the right shoulder and already in wave 2. So both of those scenarios, the bullish and bearish scenarios, there they are. We get the 8 and 9 count this week with the weekly chart. This is 13, stall the advance, and we start the larger correction right now. And I think the jury is still out on that. Told you before, I thought we'd still reach that trend line and reach the 114,000. Now I'm not so sure about that. We've established the lower high, and with Thursday's sell-off going into Friday's sell-off, maybe be starting the next 5-leg push lower. Certainly possible. I'm longer term bullish on Bitcoin. I think we'll eventually go to much higher levels. I expect a pullback. Is that starting right here now? I don't know. Just being honest with you, telling you what I think. I thought we'd go higher. Maybe I'm wrong about that. We got that lower high. What happens? I've got mixed signals. I'll just run through them. Going on a little long here, got a lot to show you. Run through them briefly. Right here, we're trying to bounce off the purple line. We didn't have any kind of topping signal here yet. We lost the orange line. The orange line is now resistance, but we are bouncing off the purple line like we did over here. The orange and purple line acted as resistance on the way down. Right now it's acting as support. Over here, the orange line here, and then we broke it. Now the purple line, and the purple line is support. You lose that, you're going to get a bigger pullback right now. But again, there's no topping signal. There doesn't have to be. Oftentimes tops and bottoms are marked. These circles, again, marking short-term momentum shifts, and sometimes they mark bottoms, sometimes they mark tops, but it's just showing where a correction is likely going to be taking place, or a counter trend. Good job. I didn't get one here. So again, did that establish a peak over here and we hit a lower high, and we don't get one because the top was over here? It's possible. Still try to break through the resistance zone and get one. So the risk is topped over here, this was a topping signal, and we end up not being able to make new highs and eventually break the purple line. Bouncing off the purple line, but bars are turning back to red. Thus we're either going down or sideways at the moment then. Same thing here. I talked about reaching the trend line. I could be wrong about that. We had the trend be bluish, went to red, back to blue, now back to red, but we're getting a bottoming tail at the 50 period moving average. So we'll see what happens. Trending, bars are red. Trending down when you're trending higher. Bars are blue. When you're going sideways, you go from blue to red, and that's what we're doing. Other signals that are still bullish. Again, I've got mixed signals. Why do I have mixed signals? Because we're going sideways. They're telling me we're going sideways. Bouncing off the 50, trying to get a bottoming tail. I still have blue bars. The lows, it tried to flip red, but then now that we're rebounding, getting a bottoming tail, back still blue. So again, it's about the close. How are we going to close? Previously, the Bitcoin bounced off horizontal support. We got a reversal bar. We saw the bars eventually flip back to blue. Now trying to flip back to red right here. Again, going sideways. Blue, red, trying to bounce off the 50. So again, we're going to be watching. If we do bounce off the 50, do we get a lower high or do we get a higher high? If we get the lower high, come back and take out the 50, you're coming down to the 100, 200 period moving average. Again, the signals correctly mark the bottom, mark the top back over here. Over here, I've got nothing. I got this signal that might have been an early warning sign of the top right here, possibly, like we got the topping signal here, and eventually the reversal bar was here. We might have had warning sign, but there is no reversal bar down here. There's no reversal bar here. We got a reversal bar back up. So again, is the top in? Any mixed signals? That tells me we're going sideways, but I'm just telling you, I didn't have anything here. You don't have to get it, but more often than not, you get it. Turning points. I got it with the bottom. I got it with the top over here. I got it with the top over here. If you get it with counter trends or pullbacks, here we had pullbacks, and here counter trends. But up here, nothing. Up here, nothing. So again, looking for clues. I've got mixed signals. That tells me we're going sideways. We're trying to bounce off the 200. Right now, we're seeing momentum signals all begin to shift. Then coin is in trouble. I got mixed signals. Here we're back to bearish. Tried to flip it. Right back to bearish. If it remains that way, then Bitcoin's in trouble. But mixed signals. And I'm just trying to show you. I got different signals saying, still hanging in there. Others turning right back to bearish with Thursday's bar. Of them turning bearish with Friday's bar. They're still hanging in there. Now right here, good signal. Again, I'm getting warning signs of a possible reversal. Getting gray bars. But we don't have the red going on yet. We get it by the close. Again, got some gray bars over here and over here, but we didn't get it. Ended up going higher. Got it over here, and it led to this decline. Got it here, ended up going lower. Got the warning sign over here, wasn't able to flip the cloud. The warning sign over here, it gave us the pullback here. Things slipped back to bullish. What happens here? We'll see. Do we have something like this? Something like this where we flip bullish, but then we correct. And again, try to go back to the 200 period of the 100 period moving average. The warning bars flashed. Will they play out? They didn't play out here. They did play out here and back over here. So I'm watching for clues. we're going sideways. I'm just telling you, I've got mixed signals here. I still have blue bars. The line is red, showing momentum is bearish. Blue bar showing going sideways or up. So I've got some signals bearish, others are still hanging in there. Same thing here, momentum. The line's turning back to red. It tried to flip to green, it's turning back to red. The trend still hanging in there, trying to turn up. So they're going lower and below today's low, you're going to see a lot more signals start to turn. But right now, signals are still hanging in there. Other signals are turning bearish. Same thing here, still hanging in there on the bullish side. We got a green cloud, still have green bars. Again, we got the warning sign on some of the indicators at this peak right here. That marked a top, a short-term top, and we're getting the bigger correction now. Maybe. Mixed signals going on. Got red bars here, still trying to get the green cloud right here. Signals mixed. Told you I thought we'd end up going above the upper Bollinger Band. Still might, but right now, tagging the upper band here, this high is holding, and now we're getting a lower high. We rally back up, we get another lower high, that's very bearish. If you break through the resistance, that's going to be bullish, and then you can move to the upper band. But look, right now, as we're selling off, the background's going back to red. Look at it, it's going from green to red to green to red to green to red. We're going sideways. That's what's going on here. The bulls and bears fight it out for control. No sell signal up here. You don't have to get a sell signal. Did mark the bottom. Did mark the tops over here. Nothing over here. Told you we could still try to reach that trend line. I could be completely wrong about that. We're going sideways right now. Now that we have a lower high, the risk is that we've already started the correction. I'm still hanging in there with my positions. I got one position. Again, I accumulated my positions down at the lows, as I talked about. I got one position that I'm going to do absolutely nothing because I'm going to hold it for several months. I think we'll end up getting a bigger pullback either now or later. I'm going to do nothing with it. The other position, I sold into the rally the day before the top right there. Sold 75% of it. Bought it back right here with that bar right there. Bought the 75% back. Held on to the 25%. Still hanging on because, again, I have a question mark of what's going on here. Might sell into the rally if we get a rally up to the resistance zone or if we start breaking down and I see more bearish signals. But right now, I have uncertainty, so I'm just hanging in there, waiting. Again, up on my swing trade position because, again, I accumulated it down at the bottom, took some profits off the table, bought it back at a lower level, and right now we've come back now to I reestablished 75% of my position. So, again, I'm either going to wait and see if we rally, could sell into the rally. If I think we get a lower high, I'm going to be watching. We start seeing more signals turn bearish, then I can abandon the trade completely and just lock in gains. I'm in a waiting mode right now. That's my strategy, not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I have a swing trade where I'm playing the swing. I thought we'd go higher. So again, I sold, bought it back, 25%, sold 75%, bought 75% back, still hanging in there with that. And the other position, I'm going to do absolutely nothing, accumulating it at the bottom. I think we're going to get a lower high, and it's starting the ABC that we're in wave C now, then I might sell into the rally. I haven't made that decision yet. Just letting you know what I'm doing, how I'm playing it. I'm still hanging in there on the long side, trying to figure this out. I'm going to remove something here so you can see what I'm looking at right here. This is marking the short-term swing move. We were up. We got red bars, started going sideways, started going flat. It's not red. It's not going down, confirming a new downtrend. It's going flat, so it means we're going sideways, telling us what we know. We're going sideways. Went from green to green, now back to red bars, but we're getting the background flipping to red. So again, is that we try to get a lower high and then end up getting a bigger sell-off with all of this, tensions in the Middle East or with the Fed next week. We don't end up completing a 9 count canceled out there in the weekly time frame. So again, watching this closely and looking at my other indicators. I thought this would end up giving us a higher high. Now I'm not so sure because we got that lower high and we've now come back under the line here. Down it's red. When you're going up it's green. When you're going sideways it's orange. Look where we're at. We're right here. We're right here at the ribbon. Look at this. Saw the signal turn back to bullish here. Blue bars. Still got it. The bar right here has not yet been decided. because we don't have the close yet. But we came back, we bounced off the ribbon. That's when we hit that 50-period moving average. Came up, we got the lower high. We take out the ribbon, you're going to start seeing bars go to red like we saw back over here. Tried to flip it here, couldn't do it, and you had red bars. Right now, we still got blue bars, so we buy more time. And even if we rally, we could still end up getting a lower high and then come back and take out the ribbon. Notice how the ribbon is acting as support right now, and back over here, it acted as resistance over here, it acted as resistance over here. Signal at the moment, still hanging in there, trying to bounce off the ribbon with our bottoming tail. Out the ribbon, you're going to get a bigger sell-off. You like the charts, you like the indicators, please support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. Follow the link below to take you to a secured site. You can donate any amount you want or make it a recurring donation. I thank you for your consideration for that. Now, I told you I was watching this area with the Bitcoin futures to see if we'd confirm a lower high or get a higher high. I told you I thought we'd get a higher high, but if we get a lower high, you got to get a reversal of conditions here. We tried to do it during the session here. When the strikes first began, we began to see a lot of volatility. We're recovering from that. Bitcoin futures still down 0.90%. Now the Bitcoin futures started to get a reversal of conditions with the cloud dropping below the lower boundary of the cloud. The bar is red still, but we've recovered. We're down, 2.5+%. Possibly a little bit lower overnight, but again, Bitcoin's recovering. We're getting a possible bottoming tail. That's happening around the 50-period moving average on the Bitcoin price. Here with futures, 50 periods much lower. In order to get a bigger sell-off, if we're going to establish a higher low, you got to get a reversal of conditions. You got to get the bar red. You got to get the cloud red. The bar is turning red. The cloud is still not there. You got to close below the cloud. You got to get a red bar, and then bar's got to go negative. Again, still has the possible 9 count that could set up in the weekly time frame. We're up to bar 8 this week. It was canceled out. This sell-off, we'll see how we close by the end of the week. Do we complete the bar 8? And then if so, do we get bar 9 next week? Can still reach the trend line I've been talking about. Signals are mixed. Some signals here still hanging in there, still kind of bullish here as far as got green. Now, again, the final print here will not be until the close. The signals change, but right now, we're still getting green. If we flip back to green bars, you still might get the diversions. It still may happen on the MACD as well. The MACD may turn back up, and you might get the diversions. We are seeing the stochastic rollover, a red bar, but you got to flip the cloud here. You got to flip the bars. We're flipping the bars, but again, we have several more hours until the close. So again, I told you I was watching for this divergence. This is one of the reasons why I thought we would go to a new high, but I also told you we may end up confirming a lower high if we've already started the larger corrective move from the May 22nd peak. I have a mixed bag of signals. We're going sideways. So will the bulls win and we get one more push up, or do the bears win and we push down and we start getting a lower high, lower low, and a bigger pullback for maybe that right shoulder and the wave 2? If we don't see the signals turn bearish here, we could still recover. We could still try to go make a new high. We now have a resistance zone with the lower high and the peak here in May. We now have that as a resistance zone. If we can resume the advance going into the Fed next week, we still got a shot at it here. Now, again, we're going to see more strikes by Israel. We're going to see more retaliation from Iran. The United States end up getting involved if places are targets. Things could escalate and could end up giving us a bigger pullback right here. Now, we'll be watching this closely, but right now, so far, we started to get a bearish reversal of conditions. Right now, it's being prevented here with the Bitcoin futures. See how we close, and then on to next week. This weekend is probably going to be explosive. We'll be watching. Do we get that close below the cloud today or come Monday? Bitcoin futures will be closed over the weekend. It'll reopen on Sunday after Friday's close. Bitcoin will trade all weekend, so we'll be watching it with great interest. The IBIT ETF looking very similar to the Bitcoin futures. We're getting the red bar on the Awesome Oscillator. And let me just bring up the MACD. Bitcoin futures, the Bitcoin ETF IBIT down 1.10% at the moment. Again, we have several hours before the close coming right back down to the lower end of the cloud. The Bitcoin futures broke it and then rebounded back up, getting a bottoming tail. Here we have come down to the lower end. We still got green going on. You still have a blue bar going on. You got red going on. Do we end up getting more green bars? Do we end up setting up a divergence, or do we now confirm a lower high? Again, I think the jury's still out on that. We'll get a bigger pullback. Still think we got a shot at reaching the 114 to 116,000 area if we end up forming a divergence. And you end up seeing more green bars and you end up getting this lower tower, rather than confirming a lower high right now, that we still manage to go higher, but then get the bigger pullback. So again, the Bitcoin futures and the Bitcoin ETF here looking very, very similar. No reversal of conditions here either. That's what has to happen for momentum to shift down. What happened over here, but then we turned right back up. That's what I thought would happen. Now, right now, again, we're going sideways. So a question mark. Will the bears win and we get the bigger pullback right now, or do we still get one more pop higher for getting a bigger pullback? We'll be watching to see if the divergences develop, or do we confirm a lower high here? We get more red bars that end up going negative. But markets are attempting to recover and rebound. That often is the way it is. Political issues. Sometimes there's a knee-jerk reaction and the markets ignore it. Is likely to go on for a couple of weeks. That gives us a volatility right here and now. We just see waves of volatility with it. It could play out either way, but I'm watching my signals closely. They are mixed, but right here, we do not have a bearish reversal of conditions. You can clearly see with IBIT and with the Bitcoin ETF here and the Bitcoin futures, still have a bullish reversal of conditions at the moment. Change by the close, but right now at the moment during the session, we still have it with being down just slightly over 1% lower with the IBIT ETF.